I know today, no matter what is happening, things will all go my way. I see heaven and I don't have to wait for you to recognize that love resides in this place. Why not listen ahead? Why you making that face? You be tripping, so think about something different. Why you making just relax with it? Ain't no accidents. It's just all for the love.
Heaven high, everybody. Welcome. Heaven high, everybody. I know I'm usually like bouncing off the walls, but I'm feeling so relaxed. My guest today said a prayer before we started. And it just reintroduced me to her gift. So, are you ready to awaken your spiritual alignment and honor the courage of truly being you too? Are you ready? Because that's what you do. That's what you do. So let me introduce her to you. I want to read her bio because it's so beautiful. I was thinking of the best way to introduce her, and I said, I'm just going to share the bio. So, we come as the woman of light. Elohima descended as form. Refined essence of the Awo'Ma, the primordial ocean of consciousness, which permeates all. We have risen, emanating as light of truth for the benefit of the whole, while equally the self. Offering each reflection divine mirror of opportunity through which to be re-seen and reknown, expanded into greater realization and articulation of its own sacred truth, where we move without hindrance, fear loses its grip. This is the living gift we carry. This is the eternal light we are. As soul, so embodied, we honor you as presence. With open hands and surrendered heart, we welcome all that seeks to unfold by virtue of our encounter. In this way, we present as Angela Dione Anderson, the woman of light. Oh, wow. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. An expression of truth and consciousness and divine reflection. So my understanding, she's been here before, and some of you may have seen her before, but my understanding of your work is you recognize all that I am, the light in me, and you help me pull back whatever layers in order for my light to shine. Did I say it correctly?
Yeah. So we are light. All of us are light.
Yes.
Divine light witnesses itself, and in an encounter with divine light, the light remembers itself through illusion. So I'm not doing anything, right? I don't do anything. It's the light that moves through us, all of us, as conduits of the divine.
And that's why it felt so good when you prayed,
Mm.
because I was recognizing myself.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm,
I think the more closely we get aligned with our truth, and I probably said this last time, but it's true in this now moment that I'm more me than I have ever been. I'm
mm,
more of the truth of me than I have ever been. And so from that space, as we each have the courage to embody and live our authentic self, to walk in our truth, well, that
yes,
has a ripple effect within the field. And the
yes.
field recognizes itself and is rearticulated in the presence of that.
Mm,
So
mm,
you affect change in the field just by virtue of your presence alone,
mm,
specifically when you're down to your authentic self.
mm. I love it.
Yeah.
And I too feel like I am more authentically me than I've ever
Yeah.
been right now.
Yeah.
And it was a gift. Part of it, it was a gift from all of my experiences that helped me truly be me.
Yeah.
Well, could you please explain how you communicate so that they'll understand with spirit?
How do I communicate with? So let me take a moment to breathe first of all,
Okay.
because because when you read that bio, like I automatic write, I do things via automatic writing a lot, and I was like, this last shift, I'm like, well, who are we now? And in my journal time, that was the bio that I automatic wrote. Like, like that
Wow.
I automatic wrote. So I've read that like I don't know how many times, but hearing you speak it, like 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 I could feel that moving through me. I could feel the resonance and the truth of that, because that speaks to the truth of what I know myself to be in
Mm-hmm.
this now moment. And so I'm sitting with that. It's like anchoring itself in the core of me. And it's just I'm literally having I'm having a moment right now, because that is anchoring in a way that it hasn't before. So thank you for reading my bio
You're
in that way, because it was a gift in that moment. But you asked, how do I communicate with my guides, or how do I communicate with all that is? Because I don't perceive them as necessarily as guides, like an external thing. I perceive it as all that is me, all that is me, like many as one. Like I stand as one point of focus. I'm the physicalized point of focus for a life stream of consciousness coming through. And so all of that life stream has opportunity to speak through me as a
this,
point
this.
of through me as a point of focus. And so now, having anchored the truth of us, do I have a clear channel through which to hear and perceive? And so, very early on, I probably shared this last time we spoke, but very early on, when I was needing a way to know how I was being spoken to by spirit, I established a protocol.
Okay.
And that protocol has expanded itself, where that was the protocol I established. Was I would be the pendulum. So when I would ask a question, my body would literally respond,
Yeah.
yeah, with all the things. That has expanded, that has evolved.
Yes.
And so now it's kind of like second nature, that when I ask a question, when I inquire, will the aspect of us that's more mm, that has the expertise to respond to
Yeah.
that inquiry steps
Yeah.
forward in a sense, and responds. And so I automatically have the response to provide in that way. What I'm being moved out of is the automatic writing, because I've relied on that so heavily to
Mm,
confirm what I was intuitively hearing.
yes.
It's like now they're saying, now I'm hearing, or now I'm being moved to put the journal down and not use the journal as a crutch, but just to listen and feel and hear and trust what I am hearing. Trust what I am
Mm,
hearing. So I hear in many ways. I perceive in many ways, and I really feel, from my perspective, I perceive us as all being antenna for the field. We are incessantly translating the signals that are moving through the field. The field is moving through all things. The Awo'Ma, the field of the ocean of consciousness that permeates, animates, and unfolds all things, is a very real thing, and it's incessantly transmitting data. And so we are picking that information up and interpreting that information. And so we have the ability to tune in, literally tune into the field like an antenna dials in a television, right? In the
yes.
same way, we're able to tune into the field and receive the signals that are most in alignment with us. So when you see me nodding like that, I'm not doing that. That's my body responding to what I am receiving
Oh,
in the moment. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. And when what was happening in your life when you were first blessed with this gift?
So when I stepped into the awareness of it, I was
I
at a
love that.
point in my life.
Stepped into the awareness of it. Go ahead.
Yeah. When I stepped into awareness of it, I was at a point in my life where I realized it was time to own myself. I had gotten to a point of frustration, truly. I was married. I had been married for a time, small. I had kids, and they were small at the time. And I realized that I was living what everybody else wanted me to live. I was living in such a way where I had basically denied me for the sake of everybody else's comfort. I started doing what everybody else wanted me to do. And I didn't realize that until I had an encounter with my husband. And we never really had any conflict or anything, but I was so
Yeah.
angry at him because he was managing, from my perspective, he was managing us like a business rather than like a couple or relationship. And so I brought some things to his attention. And in the moment of bringing the things to his attention, I realized that it was all me. It was all me being mirrored back at
Mm,
me not living my truth, right? Me not living my truth, me not giving myself permission to be all that I had come here to be.
mm,
So, in a moment of having a confrontation with him, it was like
mm,
it was like I split into two conversations, where the physical version of me is having this conversation with him, but this other aspect of me is having another conversation with myself and
mhm,
saying, well, life is reflective. Life is your mirror showing you you.
mm,
What is it showing you about you? This is showing you you. You create, like I acknowledged in that moment that I had created all of it. And so in that moment, I made a decision to own me fully, no
wow.
matter the cost. Like, no matter the cost, I was going to own me. And so I kind of, all the anger that I had in that moment just kind of dissolved in an instant. And I pretty much stopped talking to him and kind of focused in on myself and was like, oh, now I got to do the work. So after that, I connected with a group. I became extremely introspective. I started getting out in nature, connecting with nature, doing meditation, doing the journaling, which eventually became automatic writing. And all of these things kind of compounded and ultimately gave me the confidence to surrender fully to all that was in tow. And so it was a divinely orchestrated thing. One of those things where you surrender and you just keep surrendering because you begin to see these threads unraveling and you begin to see more and more of yourself. So that's kind of how that uh,
Mm,
started. I started doing Qigong, breath work. Breath
mhm,
work, meditation, and journaling were the three pillars for me at the time. And eventually, that's when the light language came on. And so I began
mm,
using the light language, and realized that that was accelerating my evolution, bringing me to different states. And so then I began to utilize the light language for me. Before I would share it with the world, I started using it for myself. And all of these things are things that I still do now. And
Mm-hmm.
they progressively open me up. So you hear people say, "Well, you already know. You don't need a teacher." I have been that for myself. I have listened to those intuitive nudges. I have listened to what I perceived then as my external guides, which I know now is just aspects of me. But I've listened
Mm.
to all of that, and what's happened is I haven't had a formal teacher. Like I haven't had formal teachers on my path, right? I haven't even sought out formal teachers. What's happened is whenever I am ready to go to the next stage, I get this nudge out of left field, or somebody will show up and drop something in my lap, and it becomes like a portal to the next evolution of us, and we just kind of take that journey and unpack all that that particular thing has to offer, and then we walked into another evolution of us. So that's kind of how it's gone with me. I've literally just surrendered to the path. You hear people
Mm.
say, "Get present," like like
Yes.
like that couldn't be more true. Like,
Mm.
get present, and everything meets everything that you are ready for. Everything that you need is gonna meet you in the moment, your moment of readiness to receive it. You don't have to seek a whole lot because it's going to meet you when you need it. You're
Mm.
going to get something out of left field that says, study this language or do this thing, get this book, right?
Mm.
I was always nudged to get certain books, and the books weren't to take that knowledge and take it as gospel. The books were being placed in my path so that I would have a new frame of reference from
Mm.
which to question myself, to from which to go down the rabbit hole on myself. So I just used all of these things as opportunities to really get clued in on me. Yeah.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And one of the many ways that you've blessed me is with the music. Whenever my brain, it's been calmer
Mm.
lately, but whenever my brain would just be going and going and going and going, I would go to your YouTube channel, same
Yeah.
name, and I would play one of your songs on the headset and just
Mm.
relax. And it just seemed like it just cleared my mind,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And each time I would start over. So I was never present through the whole session because
Yeah.
I would go someplace. And then whenever, I came back, I would be like, oh, next time I got to start over. That was one of the evolutions that you had.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that's been an interesting thing because I didn't know I I didn't know where that was going. Like I didn't know what that was. I just know I could speak this language, and I saw a one other lady that I know who's a close friend now who was doing something similar, and
Mhm.
she would sing and speak this language. And when I would listen to her, it would just have this profound effect on me. It would take me into some other place,
Yep.
and I could just feel the energy, and I would just after listening to it, it was almost like a key that would open me up to something else, right? To open me up to something else. What I've come to know now, after all this time, because that unfolded in an evolutionary way, right? It was progressive in how it's grown. It started as me just speaking, then it evolved to me singing and all of these things and putting the layering and all of that stuff. But what I've come to realize is that we, as a people, melanated people, are rhythmic, right? And in the past, there was there wasn't necessarily a language that was common among those who were, let's say, part of the slave trade, right? The slavery.
because
That wasn't necessarily,
it's
yeah,
different.
that wasn't necessarily a common language between all, but music was a thing that was common and that spoke to
Yeah.
all. So you have like this this ability to communicate through rhythm, through music, through songs that speaks to us in a way other things can't. Because the words don't teach, right? But
Mhm.
there's a frequency that's carried in that tone, in those syllabic um, chunks of information that speak to us in a way that other things just really just
It can
can't.
bypass the
It bypasses your logical
yeah.
mind.
Mhm.
Yeah, bypasses your logical mind, and it can get right down to the DNA level and remind you of your truth. Remind you of your truth.
That's probably why I'm all full now.
Yeah, right.
Because
Yeah,
every time. So, um, Jay Clay, we never
yeah,
talked about this. Jay Clay was telling me about some things that you did with him to help him find himself. Do you
yeah.
remember any of that?
Oh, absolutely. So, well, Jay was part of my group, and I had at the time this group, and I look back on that, and I say it's one of those things. Like in hindsight, you look at yourself, a past version of yourself, and that past version of yourself thought they knew so much, right? And you realize, well, you were just figuring things out, but you really
Yeah.
didn't have all the clues. So at the time, I had gotten one of these big downloads, and it was a series of symbols that I got because I told you I was doing the automatic writing. So part of the light language thing, the way that would express would be that sometimes I would get these symbols that would come through. We call them emanations now, but they're these symbols that come through that depict patterns. So the patterns are connected to the field of consciousness itself. So before things come into manifestation, like as things are coming into manifestation, there's a pattern, a blueprint that anchors that particular expression into physicality,
Wait a
right?
second, pause. So before things come into expression, there
Yeah.
is a pattern. Like,
Yeah.
like would that be including me before I was born? There was
There's a
a pattern
pattern that
emanating my blueprint.
right, right. So there's a frequency pattern or expression that is the expression of Tangi. That is you in form. All of these
Ooh.
concepts, because everything is energy. Everything is energy. And so what I was getting during that particular download was a series of information or these patterns, these emanations that would assist us in reconnecting to our truth. So it was a group of four of us, and we met every day for 12 we met every day for 12 weeks for 45 minutes every day. And each of those days I would channel a message and a transmission. Like I would provide this transmission. It would come through song. It would come through in just the language itself, just speaking. But everybody started to have these profound shifts. So we were moving on this progression together in community, sharing. And by the time we got to the end of the 12 weeks, well, we had all transcended to some other place because we had ultimately all leveled up
Yes.
together. So we just moved in lockstep together in community doing these things. And I told you the light language itself bypasses the logical mind, is reconnecting you to your truth, your divine blueprint, if you want to call it that. And so we were doing that together. And as you are operating in community where everything is amplified, it's not just you solo doing it, you are joined together. And so each person in that group, it's like you're in a circle. You have everybody in a circle, and what's happening is you get a collective expression of all of you at the center or wherever it is. But each person is serving to balance the others, right? Everybody is balancing one another till when you get to the end, everything is perfectly centered. Everybody is or as close to center as they can be, right?
See,
Because
like,
you working in tandem, you working in lockstep, you are serving energetically to
yeah,
balance one another. Yeah.
yes. I'm
That's
seeing
ultimately what happened. Yeah.
I'm seeing a round, like a round, I don't know, container with
Us,
all of these different slots, and they go in at different places, and then
yeah.
in all of them fit together perfectly.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it's ultimately like a sphere, circle, but we're
Yes.
all serving to balance one another, and that's ultimately what happened in that group. So everybody expanded from there. Like it was one of those things that you really can't explain or articulate
And
with
he,
human words. Like we all had an experience, we all had our experience and leveled up from that. So that's kind of how that
he
went.
did have a hard time explaining it, but he got me
Yeah.
excited about it. He got me really excited. So,
Right.
so let me tell you what I've gotten so far for people that are having a situation or who are not living their truth. Um, I love that you said life is reflective, showing you, no matter the cost.
Right.
And we all pretty much know if we're living our truth or not. Um, but what if we don't know ourselves?
Right. Yeah. So you looking, hmm. So you looking at life, and the easiest thing for us to see is the triggers, like the things that cause discontent, right?
Mhm, mhm,
So you really have to be willing to sit with those things. And the reason it's hard for many people to see the self, I can speak for myself. The reason it was hard for me in the beginning to see myself, it was because you don't want to look at the things that don't feel good. You don't want to confront the things that don't feel good. You don't want to confront the things that are scary, that are gonna threaten the ego
mhm,
and cause you to mm, realize that you aren't who you thought you were.
mhm. Yeah.
Ultimately, it's a hard pill to swallow. But if you can sit back and observe life, like become the observer of your own life experience and pick things apart, begin to question your own choices. Why do you do what you do in the way that you do it? Why do
Mhm,
you respond to life in the way that you do it? Why do you feel, or do you feel life is attacking you? You know, do
mhm,
you walk around with that perspective, or do you feel like you are collaborating with life as part of life, or do you think you are operating in isolation? Right? You have to begin to question yourself, and I think a big piece of um, that process of beginning to question is just entertaining new possibility. And I think new possibility comes by way of listening to like conversations like this, where we're talking about something that's not status quo, something that's lies outside of the loops and patterns of everyday life or everyday conversation. Many people, this is myself. In the very beginning, I had one of those people. I call her the first elder because she was the first one that I recognized on the path
okay.
who began to ask me questions. And she said she would ask me all the time, "Do you have any questions? Is there something that you want to know?" And in the very beginning, I had not one question. I never had a question. I
Wow.
never had a question. And in hindsight, I realized why I never had a question. It was because I was so entrenched in the matrix, in the cycle, in the loops, in the patterns of everyday life that I always knew what was coming next. Right. So I
Mm,
never had a question. I didn't have to have a question because I knew I was doing this at this time, this on this day. and this is how this works. I'm doing that. This feels good. I'm operating in my comfort zone, right?
Yes.
But by listening to her share her stories and listening to her share her stories, what happened is that I began to see myself in her stories and how I might respond to some of her situations that she might talk about, how I
Mm-hmm.
might respond to those things. And what I was doing in that process was allowing myself to entertain new possibility, which caused me to begin to consider life and to see life in different ways. And so I started to unpack different situations. I started to sit outside with nature where she would talk about how animals had these meanings and this animal carries this medicine. And I'm like, what? You know, like what is that? What is that all about? But I started to entertain that. I started to see that and started to see if I could track that for myself. I
Mm-hmm.
began to notice feathers on the ground and pick them up and all these things. And I
Yes.
just I just started to entertain new possibilities. So I think that's where it begins, listening to stories like this, having the courage to sit with conversations like this, because a lot of people don't have the courage to do that because it's so counter to what's been known. But you have to know that this creation is is a product of infinite possibility.
Yes.
And by virtue of that, there is not one way. There's not a single way that a thing must be done. A there's not one way, and there's not a right and a wrong way, right? This
Yes.
is where you get trapped because you think
Yes.
right and wrong, and really all right and wrong do is align you to your established comfort zone, your loops and patterns, right? But you have to have the willingness to step beyond that, to realize there are infinite ways to accomplish a thing. There are infinite ways to create. There are infinite things to be created. All things don't exist. That there's a saying. I thought about this not too long ago, but there's a saying that there is nothing new under the sun. Well,
Yes.
shit, it's not. If you think that, I mean, if you operating in a loop, in a closed loop, there
Yes.
isn't anything new, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
where we are moving to as a collective is creation of the new. That
Yes.
means we're not regurgitating the old and call it new. We're not fixing that. We letting that die, and we
Yes.
are creating the new. We are birthing the new.
Yes.
Babies, babies don't get regurgitated, right? I mean, all things are energy, and of course, that life stream continues to exist and come back in many different ways, like reincarnation, right? That's the life stream itself, the eternal stream
Yes.
that is you. But
Yes.
creation of the new, we are creating that. We are birthing that.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's one thing that I find, like one of the reasons that I started this podcast is because I wanted to introduce people to something new, because I know I think beyond the physical. And I found that a lot of people are afraid to even question.
Yeah.
Like, um, but I still try to sneak it in on them. And it seems like right now, whether you're afraid or not, the world is moving forward.
Right. Yeah.
So you're just gonna kind
Yeah.
of fall on your face. If you
Well,
don't,
evolution is, right?
yeah,
Evolution is all, I say this all the time. Evolution is always happening. This whole experience of life is more about your response to it or your reaction to it. Are you able to stay? Are you able to anchor? But and the only way that you can anchor is by virtue of knowing yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, you think that it's your task to control all of the things going on in the observable world, right?
and ain't nobody
And
got time for that.
well, and you can't fix that because that external world is a reflection of you, right? So it comes back. It always comes back to you. It's just reflecting you, right? And your perspective of the world. All of that settles and is manifested as your perception of the world, how you perceive the world, what you
Yeah.
perceive the world to be. And you can only perceive the world in truth when you are operating from truth, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
only see the world in truth when you're operating in truth.
From truth,
From.
from your truth.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. Well, I know one of the things that has blessed me, if somebody watching this is going through hard times, was going through hard times because I had to surrender. I had
yeah,
to give up. I realized that, I was working, 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 trying to make it happen and
mm,
getting farther and farther away from whatever it was. And then
yeah,
when I finally just surrendered, it was like, you go water skiing and you want to come into the boat. I remember my mother years ago went water skiing and she's out there on the water and she said, I want to come back. And they're like, let go, let go. And she's like, no, no, I'm scared. She's holding on real tight. And the guy jerked the boat. And when he jerked the boat, she came in.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that to me is kind of how it is. But these are some of the points that you've made that I love. Life is reflective, showing me. So for me, that means if it's a mess, then I got some more work to do.
Yeah, well, it's just that your interpretation of mess,
Yeah.
right? Your interpretation, because you can see that same thing and say, "Oh, that's just that,"
And
right?
that's
That
yes.
just is what it is, right? I don't have to judge it as a mess or a beautiful masterpiece or a creation or whatever it is. The judgment kind of tells you where you are, right? The
Ooh.
judgment of it, right?
Mm,
Because you're not so inclined to judge. Like if you are operating from a place of sovereignty,
yes.
knowing who you are, and
Yes.
by virtue of knowing who you are, you know who everybody else is. You don't stand in a place of judgment in your observation of them. So
Mm,
you aren't saying that's wrong, that's right, that's good, that's bad. You look at it and you say, oh, that's what they need to come into greater awareness of themselves. They can
yeah.
have that. I don't have to engage. I don't I don't have to engage. I don't have to judge it. I don't have to make it. But because by judging it, you make it part of your experience. You like pull it in to you and make it part of your your experience. That's the best way I can say that.
I like that. I I think I might um I think I go between making it calling it like I name everything good because I
Mm.
feel like everything is working for my good, whether they name it good or bad or otherwise, it's all for my good because in the end it all works out. But I like just saying that's a painting.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is
Yeah.
what it is. Or I heard someone say recently, this is all that is right now, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Are you even real?
Mm. I'm as real as I need to be for this moment and for you, right?
Yeah.
Everything that presents is bringing us into greater awareness of self. So, all that presents in your awareness at the moment is what's necessary for that moment, right? It's
Okay.
giving you an opportunity to see yourself in that moment.
Ooh, I like it. Okay. Okay. So don't judge whatever it is that you're experiencing. Don't judge whatever it is that you see. And for a lot of people, that's difficult right now because things are shifting. And if you're holding on to the old, then, you know,
Yeah.
so don't judge. Let go,
Right.
flow like the ocean that we talked about, right?
Yeah. So, I'm going to say that a little bit differently.
Say it.
And I'm gonna say, get to know yourself. Know thyself, you know all. Because once you know yourself, you don't have to not do or do anything. Your
Mm,
inclination just doesn't go in that direction. if that makes sense. Because if you say don't judge, what is everybody gonna do? They gonna find themselves. You say don't see the color red, everybody is gonna mentally see the
The
color red.
color red.
Color
Yep,
red,
that's
right?
true.
Yeah,
Mm,
we get so caught up as a collective thinking that we have to do. And you said it earlier, surrender, letting go, right?
surrender.
But
Yeah.
that letting go, that surrender becomes easier as you begin to connect with the truth of you. So you got to do the work. I said it earlier, meditation, journaling, and breath work.
Yep,
Bring
I
yourself
have that.
within, slow down, and come inside. And in that space, in the gap between breaths, is where you can truly get reconnected with you.
In the gap
Yeah.
between breaths is
Yeah.
when you can truly get reconnected with you.
Yeah.
Hmm. In the gap between breaths. I like that. Every time I've gone through a difficult situation,
Yeah.
every time, once I come back to myself, I start breathing again.
Mm-hmm.
And I never even knew that I wasn't breathing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what happens. Okay,
Yeah.
so in the gap between breaths, what'd you say? You come. I
You
started
get to know yourself. That's where you meet you in the gap between breaths.
to get to know
In
yourself.
that stillness. Yeah. That stillness.
All right. And then um a question that you asked, do you think you're collaborating with life?
Yeah.
Right? Do you
Mm-hmm.
could I even challenge them and say, do you realize that you have the power to collaborate with life? Like I'm thinking about what we would say to people who feel powerless, people who are worried about what the president is doing and the gas and you know,
Yeah. I I don't think words teach. I
mm,
don't think words convince. I think you have to live it, right? You have to live it. And in your embodiment of it, people can feel that. It radiates out from you like a wave,
yeah,
right? People
yes.
can feel that. They know that. So all you have to do, from my perspective, is exist in your truth.
See, and I
Embody and embody your authenticity. Get to know yourself. Like, get to know yourself fully. Embody yourself. Have the courage to be different. Have the courage to stand apart from the crowd. Have the courage to be talked about because folks gonna talk about you because you ain't
yeah,
following the
yeah,
status quo, right?
yeah,
have the have the courage to be you, plain and simple. I need to
yes,
put that on a t-shirt. Have the
yes.
courage,
The
have the
courage
courage
to
to be
you.
you. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have the courage to discover you because in discovering yourself and having the courage to be you, do you grant people, the people outside of you, the same courtesy? And you understand the importance of that. You do it naturally, it becomes innate. You know, you understand that there is no disconnection. You say collaborate with, well, you are always collaborating with because you are part of all of it. There
yeah,
is no separation,
yeah,
right?
yes,
Yeah, you exist as nature, you exist as earth, right? There is no disconnect. You exist as a cosmos. You are fully embodying the cosmos in reflection, right? There
yes.
is no disconnect.
I agree. I agree totally. I agree. And I journal. And
Yeah.
sometimes I journal with my eyes closed so that it can just come through me. I do the
Mhm.
meditation. I haven't done the breath work in that way, but I'm gonna try. I'm going to do it,
Okay.
but I'm constantly reminded of years ago when before I went through my quote unquote hard time, and a friend of mine reached out to me, and she said, "Tangi, what do you do when you're tired and the kids are hungry and bills are due and you got the eviction notice on the door? What do you do?" And I said, you have to have faith, girl. You know, God got you. I don't
Mm.
know what I said back in those days, but I gave her some beautiful esoteric stuff, and she said, "But Tangi, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do?" And now I I would probably tell her to I would probably tell her to try to get quiet so she can listen. But then she would probably say, "Listen how? The kids are here screaming and hollering."
Mm.
So that's what I'm thinking. I would tell her to journal, because journaling has been good for me. It's been a place where I could write out whatever is on my heart, on my soul. And then if I'm writing something that I shouldn't, I can hear, "Oh, that's not how y'all talk to me." And then I write it back. So I'm thinking, like, for people who are just, and maybe I don't need to be thinking for those people. Maybe I should just trust that they're well. But that's what I mean.
Yeah. So I keep here. All I hear is you have to take a moment to slow down. You
That's
have to
it.
take a moment to
Slow
breathe.
down. Okay.
Yeah. To breathe
Okay.
and settle in your center. And in the center, in the gap, is where the impulse comes.
Mm,
So you
oh,
don't know what that is. You don't know what that'll be. It might be an insight into how you can something that's waiting for you somewhere. Like somebody
yeah.
might have something for you, or there may be an opportunity to for an endeavor that would allow you to make funds,
Yeah.
to make up for the deficit.
Yes.
But you have to be willing to take a moment to stop, to pause and breathe and reconnect with your truth, in your truth, in the center, in the heart space. Whatever comes is unique to you, right?
Yes.
And none of us can truly see life from another person's perspective, right?
Yes. Yes.
So it's hard to say, do this. Oh, you do this because I did this. This worked for
Yes.
me. Well,
Yes.
we're not the same person. We're articulating life from different perspectives. So each of us has to have the willingness to get quiet and get centered and aligned. And that's where the voices are heard. That's where you hear your truth, right?
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. So if you're worried, if you're afraid, if you're running, trying to do, the first thing that I would suggest would be to pause.
Yeah.
Just
Because
to
you allow the momentum to slow down and eventually cease. Because
mm,
when you're trying to do, you still perpetuating the same cycle, the same momentum, and ultimately recreating the same experience over and over again. Because you're working with that same momentum, you have to let that momentum die
mm,
down so that you can steer momentum in a different way, in a new way. But that all comes first. The very first thing is settling down in the heart space,
mm,
breathing, deep
yeah.
breathing, reconnecting with your breath. It all begins with the breath.
Mm,
Any shift, any shift, any shift. Are you looking to get information? Any shift begins with the breath.
Any shift begins with the breath.
Breath. Yeah. Because you are pulling, like this is what I hear. You're pulling from infinite possibility, right? Because
Yeah.
when you're operating with shallow breath, well, you've kind of limited your access to potentials, right?
Mm,
but
mm,
but the lungs are like an upper womb. You can consider the lungs as like an upper womb, and with every breath, you are pulling in infinite possibility. And when the heart pumps, because when you bring in breath, it causes the heart to pump, and there's a spark that happens in the center of that heart space that ignites a possibility. that ignites one of those infinite possibilities you've drawn in by virtue of your breath.
Mm. Oh. Mm. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I love
it's
that.
like magic, but it's not. That's how it works.
I
Infinite
love that.
possibility. Reconnect with your breath. Breath, all of your breath. And don't shallow, not that shallow breathing. I mean those deep pranic breaths when you are filling up to capacity, holding it at the top of that, and then breathing out slowly through pursed lips. You're not just exhaling like whew. You like breathing out. You just barely purse your lips and let that breath seep out like a balloon. You slowing everything down. Everything
Mm.
down. Yeah.
Slowing down. I like that. Okay. Deep breaths.
Yeah.
Breaths, because that helps us get in tune with ourselves. It helps us to hear the
Yeah.
infinite and to tune into the infinite possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like settling yourself so that you can begin to hear and perceive and receive from the field. The all is always speaking.
Yeah.
Like everything is out there, infinite possibilities. There is not one way, you know. The other side of that is that you can't get locked into one way of doing and one way of being. You have to be open to the fact that this creation is infinite. The all is infinite. In every breath there is infinite possibility. You have to know that. Yeah.
And I would say, when you start getting the, like for me, a good thing was to listen to that voice and
Yeah.
to trust it, and because to trust it and to get to know it,
Mm.
that was good for me. Luckily, as a little girl, my mother let me trust that voice. So,
Mhm.
um, because sometimes I'll hear that I'm to do things that to other people don't make sense.
Mm.
But because I know that voice, it gives me the courage to do it anyway.
Right. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
your voice. And,
yeah.
and and your voice doesn't have to make sense to everybody else. Like, again, we're all sovereign beings. We're all living life from our unique vantage point. And
Mm.
so the way that I am spoken to and the way that I am articulated through is unique. And you have to allow yourself, grant yourself permission to trust that.
To
Right?
trust that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, as you offer this sacred support for our journey, is there anything that you would like to share now? Anything that we haven't shared?
Sind. Yo siane ami kore ami asatre kama aswa. Tsuro mi o kere mi o kama o ate ai sandra ka tu armi anda kai. Asiara ni o tu karma uatan. Sarin. Yeah. Sorin. Here we are. Who we are. In here is wirin uain. Dikarin mi uam. An eruk rikaina karmiwa maisia ukamerukaina uam. Dins erukame uaina. Nas korikama ue. Birak on iat un ira uaina. Rinde erukama uemba ain. Singreto armika tuemba ayatua singaretuam. Ani arukami atuar tenda korikam. An irat uam. Haia. Yam.
Mm.
We invite you to have the courage to get to know who you are, to have the courage to embody the truth of you, knowing that you are fully supported in your endeavor to know yourself. You are not alone. You have never been alone. There are many who have come through the earth plane as extensions of you. Grant yourself permission to trust and know that you are being anchored by those who came before. Trust that. Know that you are not alone. as you get to know yourself, you get to know all aspects of you. And by virtue of knowing all aspects of you, do you have the willingness or the wherewithal to embrace all that presents in your external world, because you realize that all is sovereign, all are sovereign, and all have free will access to live in such a way that brings them into greater awareness of self. So have the courage to embody your truth, realizing that you are part of the collective whole. You are not separate from all that presents in your external world. You are your world. You are your world. You embody earth. You are divinity animating earth. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And all that you seek to know lies within. All that you seek to know is accessible through you, by you. Trust that what you receive presents in such a way that it speaks to you. It doesn't have to be validated by someone external to you. Give yourself permission to trust what you receive, to move on the impulses that you receive. And you'll find more often than not that your life is being divinely orchestrated, right? You are not left on an island. The impulses come for a reason. You get the inspiration to create in the ways that you create because there are aspects of you seeking to be expressed in those ways. But by virtue of creating things in the moment, they create the space for the next thing to come. If you deny those things that are seeking to be expressed through you in the now, they hinder the potentials that have the opportunity to be manifest by virtue of what you allow yourself to create.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You know.
That was beautiful.
The voices are there. Like I see a stream behind me. Like I see an unbroken stream behind me, and we all have that unbroken stream. We are pillars of light extending from the source. We're not separate. That's part of the illusion. Allow yourself to entertain a new possibility. Just go, even if you have to go back through this video, watch it again and entertain some of the things we say. Give yourself permission to go down the rabbit hole, ask a series of questions, do some research, read some books that you feel inclined to read. Go explore my website. My website is a great resource for that, because my perspective is words don't teach, and you don't need me as a teacher. You don't need anyone as a teacher, to be honest, because your path is your path and it's unfolding in the way that you need to be met as soul manifest as form, right? So these things, these resources can serve to guide you, to point you in the direction, but you don't need to be told what's right for you. That's what's dying. That's the old paradigm that's dying. We are fully embodied souls here to be it, live it, breathe it, be embodied, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. I feel delicious. That's the word that came to me, and I'm going with, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
One more question. That you just said, all of that, I would like to post that.
Okay.
Would I wish I want to hear like you hear, because I'm like, do I post the language, the light language first? Or do I post the? That's what I'm thinking about. Like, I want to share.
Well, share, right?
Okay.
You share.
Okay.
Share in your way, right?
Share in my way.
Yeah.
However I feel. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Well, This is my authentic self.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. We
feels
can be
really
real.
good.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much
Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
for coming on. Yes, you have to come back.
Absolutely.
It always feels so good to me.
Yeah.
Mm,
This is a beautiful conversation, and it's a lot of nuggets here, and I hope listeners will give themselves an opportunity to really sit with some of the things that are shared. And if you have questions, I'm so flexible. Feel free to reach out and ask. If you have a question, you can go to my website and submit an inquiry on our contact us page. But other than that, you don't need me. You can just explore,
and
right?
she's also on Instagram too.
Explore all the things. Yeah.
Same
I'm
name.
on all of the social media sites. So
Same name
yeah.
everywhere. Her YouTube
Yeah.
page, her website, her Instagram, everything. Yeah, explore. Be fearless, y'all. Be fearless.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
fearless. Be fearless. But thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely.
I love you. I want to say I
I
love
love you too.
you, but I love you so much. I am so. Do I look different? I feel different. Do I look the same? Okay.
You look extremely peaceful and
That's how I
serene,
feel.
right? Yeah.
Extremely peaceful.
And that's a great gift to yourself, giving yourself permission to be you, like truly authentic you, like whatever you feel in the moment is what suits you, like however you want to show up is unique to you. Let yourself do you in the way that works for you without feeling like I got to dress a certain way, I got to look a certain way, I got to have this cut, or I got to do these things because everybody's doing these things and I don't want to look different, I don't want to be talked about and all that stuff. That's bull. All right. Like,
Mhm.
let yourself be you. And in being you, you don't have to prepare, right? You don't have
Right.
to do all this stuff. You just show up. That's why when we reschedule this, like how many times?
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't know how much. Whenever we need to come on, it will be divinely
It will
aligned,
be
and I'm
divine.
just gonna show up. What are we talking about? I don't
Yes.
know.
We
I'm
don't
just gonna
know.
show up. I'm
Yes.
just gonna show up, right?
Yes. And it's been
Yeah.
divine today. I had a thought with what you said. Spirit was who told me to cut my hair.
Yeah.
And I think part of them telling me to cut my hair, like I literally heard, it's time to let it go. And I fought it.
Yeah.
I did different colors and put hair in it. And I did all kind of things, but I heard it. And
Yeah.
I was dog sitting, lost the key. And I went to the car and I prayed. I said, please show me where these keys are. There's people's keys. And they said the closet. And I went to the closet and there were the keys. I went to the bathroom and cut my hair. Because the same voices said they're the keys, cut the hair. But I feel like part of that was for me to be more me, even though I was me
Yeah.
before, but it's just different. But I feel really good.
I think there's something to that. I think is the hair is an extension of your nervous system, right? So if you're stepping into a new phase, you're like phase shifting into a new evolution of you, then that old story captured by virtue of the old nervous system has to go, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's got to be a reason. That's my logic, or that's what I perceive that to be. That's how I perceive the truth of that.
I
Yeah,
received that. I received that.
yeah,
I do feel like it's a whole new phase of my life, a
yeah.
whole new me, a whole new everything, a more
Hmm.
grounded, settled me. Still me, because I still like, but I just feel more. hmm,
Yeah. I think there are many things, many changes that happen by virtue of your evolution. I look at some of my old videos. I posted some older reels not too long ago, and I look at how even physically I've changed. Right,
Yes,
my whole physicality has changed, and I can look at myself and see I'm far more confident now. I'm far more settled. I'm
yes,
far more settled into I no longer give zero F's about
Yes,
what anybody thinks about. And I
yes,
can see that confidence in the
yes,
way I present versus the way that I used to present. I look at older videos and I look at how afraid I was of being heard and how
yes,
soft my voice was and all of these things. And
yes.
evolution is real. So you have to be willing to surrender to that.
And that's what I love for you,
Mm.
even when you were afraid, and even when I was afraid, we did it anyway.
Yeah, we did.
Did
Right.
it anyway. What
Yeah.
the way that I have been putting my life right now, I've
Yeah.
been saying I just follow the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you said. I listen, and,
Mhm.
and if my mind starts to think, well, but how am I gonna? I let that go. I say that's not true, and I just keep going on with the plan, and
Yeah.
then see what happens.
Yeah.
See what happens. Okay, well, I love you so much. I am
I
so
love you too.
came on. I can't wait to see you again. It has to be before 2027.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely. Okay. And I too hope people are blessed. I believe they
Mhm.
will be. But what Spirit told me was they said it's not your job to follow up on people. It's just
Mm,
your job to do what I tell you to do.
mm,
So that's what I'm
mhm.
thinking. So I love y'all. I love
Nice.
y'all. And I'm gonna play my opening one more time just because I don't have a closing yet, and it makes me happy. So there we
I know today, no matter what is happening, things will all go my way. I see heaven and I don't have to wait for you to recognize that love resides in this place. Why not listen ahead? Why you making that face? You be tripping, so you thinking about something different. Why you making just relax with it, ain't no accidents, it's just all for the love.
Heaven hi, everybody. Welcome.
I can't hear you, I think.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
You know what I'm gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to get a closing that's calm. With the word, right?
Nice.
I'm gonna work on. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Mwah.
Yes.
Next time.
All right.
Any closing words? I'm feeling something.
Me?
Yes.
Um, I think we left it all.
I
There
think
is
you
nothing.
did too. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.